SA Corporate Real Estate Fund is a smaller real estate investment fund originally known as Marriott Properties and now controlled by Old Mutual. SA Corporate has a market cap of 6.8 billion rand and a price earnings ratio of 16.5. We're quite high on the PE side of things. But this is an exciting story in your book, isn't it?
It's an interesting one because this is another stock I'm not sure we're going to speak about next time we meet because it might not be around. Again,
Capital's on the
Capital's
horizon.
looking to take this one out and potentially it looks like a likely deal.
But has the market priced this corporate action into the stock? I suppose we should start there, considering it hadn't into Fountainhead.
Now, completely different to what we saw in Fountainhead. I think the market's overpriced this one. I think this one has been a perennial underperformer for several reasons, and people are getting excited that a management team with the likes of Capital are there to take it out.
Now, how do you feel about this one?
Look, the interesting story here playing itself out again, the same trend I talked about earlier. So it was within the Marriott, sort of Durban-based old money environment. Then it got gobbled by Old Mutual, which in turn had a bunch of other retail things. So in 2007, they put SA Retail portfolio and this lot together, and that's how they kind of evolved it going forward. It's had
and then they've decided now to lose non-core assets, so Capital's in the wings. Is that right? Is
so
this how
Old
the story's
Mutual
going?
still, I think, owns the. Old Mutual has the key to this because Old Mutual must decide now who it wants to be the pony and who it wants to be the jockey.
Well, let's hope they don't go the Nedbank route, and they take a very long time to decide yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Could they do that? To and fro from an Old Mutual perspective.
I've seen on the property side been planning the mall in Zonkizizwe for the last 8 years. So, quick decisions may not always be there in the property space.
Maybe Julian Roberts is going to prove us wrong.
What about the management change? Because Johan van Zyl
very interesting. As Gerard van Zyl, the ex-Vukile CEO, he did a great service for Vukile, and I can see it potentially as a means to try to block the deal. I think maybe with this sign, Mutual don't really want to give away their assets. And unfortunately, Len van Niekerk, who is starting to see a bit of a turnaround in his fortune, starting to close up vacancies, do some good work, unfortunately he was pushed.
Was he pushed?
Well, I'm assuming
so
because
if
he's
I
starting
read
to see
between the
things
lines
turned
here,
around.
Old Mutual doesn't want to give up this asset. Is that what you're saying? It's going to have to be hostile.
Well, I'm thinking that they try to block it by putting in someone like Gerard van Zyl, who's got a great track record, very strong property operator, and my personal opinion, it is just a view, but I think Len van Niekerk was the scapegoat.
Well, this is interesting. We should actually be focusing. Why didn't we start the show on SA Corporate?
Well, I wonder because, Old Mutual in their ivory tower down there in Pinelands is probably sitting there and it's got, billions and billions and billions of property assets. It's got holdings across the sector. It's got direct stakes in some of these things. It's got property funds that it runs for third parties that are invested in all sorts of funds and so on. And I wonder whether they've really got the commitment to do anything other than maximize value for themselves. So I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't
You're not making any friends tonight.
Wouldn't be the first or last time that Old Mutual had, fallen over its own feet with regard to properties. We know that disaster with the Rosebank building where they refused to sell it to a competitor. They sold it to someone else for a lower price, and it then went to the competitor, and somebody made a fat turn. So I don't know. We'll have to wait.
If SA Corporate stays in the Old Mutual portfolio, effectively, or in the Old Mutual stable, I think that's the right terminology. What do you make of its potential fortunes going forward?
Despite the fact that we were starting to see some improvement from Len van Niekerk, Gerard van Zyl is a great manager. So I think maybe Mutual are starting to learn a bit of a lesson there, and things may change. But I'm not going to hold my breath too long on this one.
Hot or not?
Not.
Not hot. Paul, hot or not?
No, I'll pass as well.